Is a WGU tech degree worth it? I'm Cyber and Chill from Twitter, also Cyber and Chill, and I'm going to tell you right away that a WGU tech degree is worth it. Coming from delivering pizzas, yeah, I would say making six figures, working remotely in tech has been a pretty good transition for me. And there's 4 points I'd like to cover in this video. So the first thing is going to be my education and career progression, how to win with WGU, and what I mean is not is it worth it, but making it worth it for you. The third is accelerating your education and career. If you're in WGU or thinking about it, then you know that WGU is all about acceleration. But have you thought about acceleration for your career? When are you going to make that six figures? And finally, my offer is a free offer where I help guide you on creating a tech portfolio challenge in 5 days. So let's get started. So I always like to say my progression in IT didn't start in IT. It started in the food service industry. Many years ago, I remember driving with my green Jeep Cherokee, delivering the pizza, which I could smell all over the car. Pizza in cardboard box. That was always the notable smell of a pizza delivery guy. If you go into a car and think, oh, okay, it smells like cardboard box, and then you also smell, I could eat that cardboard box, then that guy's probably a pizza delivery driver. Anyway, enough about me. I ended up taking that pizza box, taking it to the customers. When I went back, I could not start my car. I ended up having to call a friend, putting my car in neutral, and pushing it to get it started. So there was a lot of situations like that. That the current wage was not a wage that I could sustain fixing up my cars for small things that for things that would come up. It was an old car. I could barely afford buying a new car. I couldn't afford buying a new car actually at the time, barely for the parts and rent, etc. So I knew that this job was not going to be the end all for me because I was also going through school as well at the same time. I knew that I wanted to be a nuclear engineer. And when I finally matriculated at a brick and mortar school, I ended up getting academically suspended not long after that. So I was kind of lost because there was years of preparation to become a nuclear engineer or matriculating, etc. And I decided, what am I going to do? I need to figure out a new path. So I took Google out and I asked it, hey Google, how do I make six figures without a degree? Because I wanted some money, but at the same time, I didn't have a degree and I needed to work soon. And in that process, I found WGU. It was flexible. They paid for your certifications and it was part of the curriculum. And throughout that time, I knew I could take this and work full time. So what I did was I volunteered for a job I found some guy needed help for on Craigslist. And the second job was I a part-time job working very basic techs help desk kind of situation. And I made $9 an hour from that and worked free for the other one. And all while going to school at WGU. So these were early stages of my career. I knew I wasn't going to make buku dollars right off the bat, but I knew that this was a path that would eventually end up to making dollars that I wanted. So I put the odds in my favor with the WGU degree. I knocked out the A plus, Network plus, Security plus, and the CCNA. So it was great. WGU paid for it. The CCNA was really good for me as far as getting networking knowledge. That was very difficult concepts if I had to learn it myself. And once I had those certifications, it wasn't even a year. It wasn't 6 months that where I was volunteering and working that $9 an hour job. I ended up bouncing to a really big company. You would know it. I would say Fortune 50. Yeah, Fortune 50, hands down. Fortune 50 company, and the rest is history after that. I ended up making six figures at before graduating WGU, and when I graduated, I would say between a year and 2 years after that, I ended up making 180 as my the most I've ever made in a year. Now that 180 is a little bit of an outlier just because it was a job that required to be in a location I didn't want to be in, which is fine for 180. That's not bad. And a lot of and after that, I ended up going back to a normal W-2 job, you could say. But yeah, it's remote. It makes six figures. So that brings me back to where I'm at now. I'm flexible with my hours, which is really good. I do work hard. That's not to say that I'm spending time labbing. Um, and I get to study my certification, so my progress continues. Okay, so going back to that question, if the WG degree is worth it, yes, you're going to have to build some consistency, some discipline, some confidence that you can actually finish this degree. So use that degree and that process to not just get the degree or the studying. Use the studying to not just get the degree, but use the studying to pivot into your next role. So think strategically. So you can win with WGU by thinking, one, it's not a silver bullet, right? It's not like, okay, I have the WGU and I can get all the jobs in the world I want. No, you have to think strategically, pivot as you go through your courses. It's a degree that's where you're meant to be working at the same time. So it's not always going to be a practical degree, right? Because that's coupled with your in real job training, real job education. Um, some people ask also if they can skip to just doing the certifications to get the jobs they want. Technically, you can, but at the same time, certifications work like degrees, right? It's not going to cut it after a certain point. It might help you get your foot in the door, but once you're getting into the roles that's looking for higher paying than the entry level, then the certifications are like a degree. They're a way to get you into the door, but the education is what really matters. Do you know what you're talking about, right? Like, do your coworkers see that you have uh, insight, you have uh, you're practical about the way you think about troubleshooting. So, but this comes later in the job. So whenever you're first pivoting or looking for a job, you're probably trying to get through the recruiters, which is going to be easy to do with the certifications and a degree. But talking to the hiring managers now, whenever you're talking to hiring managers, that's when the studying really shows up. Like, did you actually learn what you said you put on the piece of paper, or was it more of like, okay, I am just going through this class. I'm just going through these classes, trying to get out of here as soon as possible. So that's just a mindset you kind of have and be aware of whenever you're studying for anything, right? It's you don't you don't take WGU for the degree. You take it for the education and the degree. Okay, so if you're curious about that six figures, I probably already touched that a bit earlier. Um, so you can make six figures in a year. It's just going to be difficult. I would say you're gonna have to relocate if you're not already in a city that's a tech savvy city. You're gonna have to prioritize your certification courses first. So if you're at WGU, I would recommend um, getting the certifications as fast as possible so you can pivot into the role that allows you uh, expansion into your career, right? So most WGUs are not roles that where you end up making $40,000 a year. There's a lot of roles that you can make 100 plus a year. So with a tech degree, I'd be surprised that you would make 100 six figures in a year if you're located in a place like, I don't know, San Francisco, obviously. But you can do it in smaller tech cities like Raleigh or Huntsville, Alabama. So prioritize your certifications. Make sure you job hop. So within your first year, you should probably job hop twice. I didn't do, I know I actually did job hop a couple times within my first year or two. So I would job hop twice if you want to make your six figures. But whenever you job hop, each time you job hop, make sure that you have some backing and you're job hopping for at least 20 to 30% of what you're being paid for, right? Um, you want to build a portfolio in that process and you want to become a professional interview. So create a tech portfolio for the next job that you want. So basically, the job that you want, see the skills that they need, create a tech portfolio based on those skills, and then apply for it, right? So that's the process. So as you get more advanced, you create a portfolio of things that you need for that next job. Then the fifth thing in that things are things that I would do if I were to start over again, it would be to become a professional interviewer or interviewee in this case. So you need to be able to communicate correctly. You need to be able to answer questions that they ask you. And lastly, you need to focus on one thing, right? Like that goes hands in hand with diligence and discipline. You just have to have that mindset at hand. Like, I'm in WGU. I'm here to make six figures. And finally, if you're curious about like the tech portfolio challenge I had, make sure to check the link below in the description. And I'll basically go over the guide of starting a tech portfolio, right? So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It just needs to get started, and then you can start adding stuff on it. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have a Twitter account, or if you don't have a Twitter account, create one and follow me at Cyber and Chill. Thanks, everyone.